Hi friends, so today's video is going to be about sort of breeding setups and how to breed, well, Hypans. And because I don't actually breed it or actually own any Hypans at home, I thought I'd use a spare tank to kind of explain the setup and stuff like that. So you could actually breed a few Hypan species in the tank of this size. This is a 60 litre, around 60 litres. And it really depends on the species, they do vary in size. And I bred quite a few different species, L66, L340, the Hypancistrus bitter. So yeah, so I've bred quite a few, and I actually breed them at work, so I kind of don't want to go and filming there, if you get what I mean. But I do have videos of the pairs, spawning, babies. It's a bit difficult, and they are in store tanks, and store tanks are incredibly busy. Stores are busy environments for them, so it is still a very stressful environment. So I'm just going to show you sort of the kind of setup I do. And Hypancistrus, generally most of them prefer at least 28 degrees centigrade, so they do need warmer tanks. Different law codes, if you're using that for reference, will be different species, will need different things. So you could just, I think I do have a spare, actually, here's a good example. So you can use a variety of different filters. That's the head of it. So you could use something like an internal, or a simple, well, you can use externals. A lot of people like Hamburg Matten filters, which is a sheet of foam that goes there. You have an air pump or a power head with an outlet that goes out from the sponge, so water is forced through that sponge into the outlet. You also can have just simple sponge filters, and it will really depend. Generally you want a lot more flow. It's really cloudy, isn't it, this tank? And these are clean. So there's the sponge filter here. And you would obviously have a heater, but you might heat the room if you're going to do, say, a big breeding setup. So it really varies. And then obviously that's pretty important. A power head might be useful, especially for Hypans. A lot of them do enjoy that higher flow. The more filtration, the more stable environment is. And also when you're breeding, you want to get the female and the male conditioned. So they might be fed a sort of very high quality diet, usually more high in protein. That means that they that sort of diet would mean that it might produce more waste. You might want to do more water changes. So generally one of the big things is, of course, you want caves, and you want the caves ideally to match the species and the size of the individual. So you want it to be tight, but I'd say not too tight. So generally you want the length of the male just around the length of the male, because the male can be longer. And this is more for Hypans. For instance, just because I've got flat caves and I've got side facing caves, so but these are just cheap caves, and I usually place them or stack them. But you don't always need that many. I would say one per male. And then I generally just clutter it. So sorry, it's just, I need to move back a bit, as you can't see the bottom of it, the tank. There we go. So I've only got 2 example caves, the others are actually in tanks. So I would kind of clutter the tank, and I would actually probably add a sandy substrate. Why? Because I think it's important in digestion and stuff like that, potentially. And then just clutter it with decor, so they have places to hide when they're arguing and stuff like that. So you can add twigs and sticks. It's still really difficult to see in the tank, isn't it? And that's kind of a bit more of a natural aesthetic. But you can use rocks. I just have loads of wood. And then for the actual breeding, so I've never actually done anything special with breeding Hypancistrus. I have them at high temperatures. I find softer water does a lot better. Generally a TDS of about 150 ppm. And I find at higher, about, or even at 200 calcification of the eggs can occur, and you have a lower success rate. You generally want plenty of places for the babies to hide as well, because bear in mind that the babies will be competing with each other and there will be aggression. So you could stack loads of different slates, you could get certain builders bricks are quite useful, and you could get sort of areas for fry to hide in. Water changes I think are always key, and they can trigger spawning. In Hypancistrus I just generally do what I've always done, which is as many water changes as I can. I tend to do it generally a few times a week, and it generally would only water change each time about 20%. So it's not big water changes unlike these, just because of how the system is. I don't think hypans are actually that difficult to breed. I think the main thing is getting them old enough, and not a lot of them aren't old enough. A lot of them they can take a year or more to actually be breedable size, and that takes a while. Another thing is generally the more females you have, I find, because eggs take a while to develop, you get long periods where there aren't any eggs because the females haven't got any. Well, they have got eggs, females are born with their eggs, but they haven't sort of developed to that stage yet. So it's kind of different species have different difficulties, and hypans are a good one I think. Of course you've got stuff like Hypancistrus, the common bristlenose, and that'd be a very similar setup, but you'd probably go a lot cooler on temperature. They're a lot more easygoing when it comes to the flow rate. And other species, Peccatia, I find Peccatia a bit of a challenge. I think they need that seasonal variation to trigger them, and the weather. Hypancistrus I just find can be non-stop. So I think just try all things, move things around, try different sized caves, different shaped caves, different species prefer different things, and don't worry about it too much. There should never be the pressure really to actually breed fishes, I don't think. I think it's fine if you don't breed them. Breeding doesn't make you better than another person or you lesser than another person, and it's up to you what you enjoy in the hobby. So it's up to you, don't just feel under pressure to breed things. Many fishes will breed regardless, and breeding can be a stress response, like a last ditch attempt to survive sort of thing. So really don't worry too much. But a very basic setup. Hypancistrus are omnivores. I'd feed them an omnivorous diet, high in algae but also high in animal protein, more insects, inverts, stuff like that, different frozen foods. But they tend to be rather easygoing. So anyway, I'll probably finish this. It's probably a really short video. If I was into breeding I could go more detailed. Like technically all of my tanks are set up that they could be for breeding, but I also have fish that would probably eat the eggs before, or eat the fry more so. And most of my fish I either don't have a female or they're too young at home. At work is different. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and